National guest lectures. There are two lecturers coming from Malaysia and also from Brunei Darussalam. For the first session, I would like you to have and to know about the professional communication in digital era. And we will have Professor Dr. Chiau Ming from Sunway University Malaysia, and also he's from University Brunei Darussalam. So he will talk about this topic. This topic is in exchange with my topic about the communication in digital era. It's a similar topic as well. So as I mentioned earlier, this is going to be put into exam as well, then the final exam, and then please pay attention. Lecturers coming from Malaysia and also from Brunei Darussalam. For the first session, I would like you to have and to know about the professional communication in digital era. And we will have Professor Dr. Chiau Ming from Sunway University Malaysia, and also his. We cannot. Okay. Let's start this one. Okay. Think. Yeah. So this lecture gonna be live streams in YouTube and also in Zoom, and everyone is allowed to give questions to Professor Long. The other speakers that would like to give the lecture today is Dr. Said Musaweh, but he's about to talk about the what is called the medicinal chemistry things, I think. Yeah, so the use of computer for drug development, etc. So he's much expert in that. So for your class, we will focus on Professor Long materials. Dr. Said will be talking in other cohorts, so you will be focusing on Professor Long. Any questions, please raise it directly to Professor Long, and please do not hesitate to ask questions. Jangan ragu-ragu, ya. Silahkan bertanya. And I give the stage to Prof. Long.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Andy. It's my great pleasure to be here. Yeah. Just for start, for your informations, we have 2 hours today. The first part, I'm going to talk about the professional communications, which is mainly we are talk about the health communications. Okay, so maybe I get to know some of your first. Yes, gentlemen.
My name is Umar Hussaini. I'm an exchange student here. So I'm not a pharmacy student, but I did have some background in pharmacy.
I see.
It's already 2 weeks.
Okay, what about you?
My name is Angeline, one of the student in Faculty of Pharmacy.
So, what is your expectations for today's lectures?
Maybe new insight and perspectives.
Good. Well done. Thanks. So, without further ado, let me just quickly go on because we have just 1 hour for this part. Let me just quickly introduce myself as well. Hang on, yeah. I think it's because you have to on the thing, is it? You have to on the slide. No. I think it will start as some points. Maybe I do it manually lah. Yeah, sorry, just trying to go to the next slides. Meanwhile, yeah, welcome to this. You all can maybe you can ask another students. What make you choose to study pharmacy? I know your name.
Shafa. Shafa.
Shafa, yeah.
Yeah.
What make you would like to study pharmacy?
Because I like chemistry.
You like chemistry, so you don't like the other subjects like the pharmacy practice or pharmaceutical technology.
Uh, I don't know.
So chemistry is your forte lah, your strongest lah. So it's good. So what you plan to do after your pharmacy degree?
I'm work in industry. Industry.
Industries, ah. Okay, good. Because we're going to cover also, Shama, some information about industries lah, which will be useful for chemistry. I advise you to look at also the YouTube recorded video of Dr. Said. Nah. He's talking more about the chemistry using machine learning. Okay. Yes. Okay, so feel free to ask questions. The online participants, please post your questions. We have 10 minutes break after 1 hour. So I like your full cooperations. Okay, so please participate actively in my class. Yeah, okay. So quickly, I'm graduated from University of Science Malaysia, from this part of Malaysia at the Penang Island. And then I previously also worked at UITM. I believe some of the participants, lecturers, students here are also transfer students from UITM. And then I was also have worked in the, as a adjunct at the Monash University Malaysia and also KPJ universities. So different part of Malaysia. And then I did my PhD at University of Bath at the UK, which is 1 hour from London. It was more than 10 years ago. And then I also, in 2017 and 2016 and 2017, I was a lecturer at the University of Tasmania. Before I moved to, this was part of my, that is her campus. And you can see there's the koala bear, which is unique to the Australia ecology ecosystem. Okay, and then subsequently at Brunei, where I met our favorite lecturers here, Dr. Andy. So this is Dr. Andy back in 2019. Yeah? So still the same. Huh? Okay. And then currently also I'm actually serving as the Associate Dean of Research and also Professor at the Sunway Universities, which is situated next to the Sunway Lagoon and Sunway Pyramid. Okay, coming back here to our lectures. First of all, I would like to give the definitions of health communications. What is health communications? Yeah. When you communicate with your patients, you are trying to give the positive health information. Don't worry, I'll give the slides later. I'll email the slides to Dr. Andy. Okay, so it includes the study and use of communication strategy to inform and influence individual at the patient level and also larger scope to the communities. If you, let's say, for example, I'm doing a health talk now, okay, you're trying to disseminate positive health informations to the general public, could be on some specific disease or lifestyle modifications, ultimately that can improve their health, okay. So if you look at two extreme, okay, positive and negative outcome. So if the health communication is successful, it will be translated into better use of healthcare system, better medical outcome in terms of maybe can reduce mortality, patient can live healthier and longer, have better quality of life, okay, improve patient-provider relationships, meaning to say that the patients will be happy to see you. They will not avoid or they will come to your next appointments, okay, on time because to collect their medications, okay, to refill their medications, because if not, they might not want to see you and are not taking their medications. Okay, if you look at the another extreme, if it's poor health outcome, like let's say the relationship with the patients are not very positive, the patients have a lot of dissatisfactions. So what happened, it could be translated into patients not taking their medications, which is very common, adherence problem, which is poor adherence. Okay. why poor adherence is can affect patients' outcome? Because the patients are not taking medications as usual. For example, if the patient is supposed to take it once a day, then maybe it's not taking. So if you know if the patient is on antihypertensive drug, and if the patient is not taking the antihypertensive medicines, what will happen? What will happen if the patients have a lot of dissatisfaction? So what happens?
Sorry, can you repeat?
What will happen if a patient's hypertensive patients yet not taking the antihypertensive medication, for example, amlodipine, metoprolol?
The blood pressure may increase, maybe.
So that will actually affect patients' chances or increase patient chances of getting strokes or other heart diseases, correct? Okay, let's look at Dr. Andy's paper, what he have examined during his PhD back in 2015 at Sydney University. So he discovered that there's a lot more pharmacists can do in the community pharmacy level in terms of health communications. So there's a lot of roles that you can play when you are working next time to enhance the health communications and also to capacity buildings for the patients so that they can empower them so that they can have a better compliance. Okay. Wait, let me go back again. Okay, let's look at Dr. Andy's paper, what you have examined during. Okay, so this is the fact. Study have shown that 80% of the patient forget what the doctor said as soon as they leave the room. Similar like you, after leaving the lecture room, I guess you only remember 5 of 10%, which is quite good already. That's why revision is very important, isn't it? You need to revise after these lectures within 24 hours, and then within 1 week you revise again, and then within 2 weeks revise again, so that it will store in the long-term memory, so that during exam you can recall those information easily. And then nearly 50% what patients remember during the counseling is not correct. That's why final verification is very important. I can give an example. If you go to restaurant, even when you order something, the waiter or waitress always order the wrong thing, isn't it? Because there's like a lot of noise or background, or sometimes they are not paying attention. Sometimes there are too many things on the menu. Likewise, that's why it's very important to have a structure counseling, so that the patients will have bit by bits, and then there will be taper up informations in terms of depending on their disease. So there is a program, medication therapy adherence clinic, which patient will go through one series of talks about their diseases. Okay, that one will be covered in other lectures. Yeah. And so, as I said, final verification is very important because to make sure that what really student can or patients can pick up. Okay, what is final verifications is after you have counseled the patients, and then you will ask the patients to relate back to you, to explain back to you what was the informations they can recall. So normally you can say that just to make sure that I didn't leave anything out. Okay, can you please tell me how to take these medications? Okay, so just to prove that yeah, just to prove that the theory that you can 50% what you can recall is correct, can we invite these students? Just now, what we have after you have counseled the patient, from what I have discussed with you, ask the patient
Asking how about the condition of the patient, maybe condition apa ya, sakitnya dari patient itu apa? How long that take a medicine, maybe is that a recall of patient or no?
Just to prove that the theory
tell the drug of the apa side effect of the medicine that the patient consumption maybe of the medicine. Yeah, no, but just a little side effect.
That's the thing. I'm not blaming you. Sorry, what's your name?
My name is Nala. Sorry.
Nala. Yeah. So we can't blame Nala because a lot of things, something it could be the audio, something my delivery is not the best one. So that's why you need to give written information. Written information is very important also, so that patient can read and then make sure it's very simple. I'll go through what kind of basic information can be given, what is constitute as a good leaflet for the patient. Yeah. Okay. Maybe I just send that easier. Not blaming you. Sorry, what? Yeah. So we become okay. So let's look at the functions of health communications. Okay, health communications include the study and use of communication strategy to inform and influence individual and communities' knowledge, attitude, and practice with regards to health and healthcare. Okay, you come across a lot of studies related to knowledge, attitude, and practice, but mainly that one is just a snapshot. Like now, I ask you what is your knowledge about health communications, and then I ask about your knowledge about health communication again after my lectures. So theoretically, there will be increase in knowledge, isn't it? So that's how sometimes the researchers design the studies to make sure that the health promotions or health communications is taking place. Okay. So coming back to digital era, post COVID-19's pandemic have increased dramatically these implementations of remote consultations, telecommunication, and as well as online pharmacy. So the whole industry is booming with, for example, telemedicines, which I'm going to show you some example. Let's look at three elements of successful health communications from the aspect of health literacy, health educations, and social marketing. In the following slide, I'm going to talk about what is health literacies, okay, which is the capacity of individuals have to assess and also effectively use health-related information. Okay, it is one of the key components. You could give the best counseling, but then if the patient's health literacy is quite low, they will not be able to absorb. Just like when I'm talking here, but if you are not have the basic informations about, for example, pharmacy, then sometimes you will not be able to have a full grasp of the lectures. The second component is health educations. Health educations aim to influence the person knowledge, attitude, and behavior connected to health in the positive way. So when you're doing counselings, health campaigns, that is considered as part of health educations. Okay, third one, which is very common now also, social marketings, including using social media. There are so many social media available now, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. So there's a lot of influencer out there also trying to sell their ideas, product, which is you as a pharmacist, you need to give the correct information, because a lot of times these influencers, what's their aim? Influencers, their aim is yeah, fame and money, and then generates interest, isn't it, from their sales. So what they do know about the product somewhat may be very biased. So you need to give unbiased and based on the evidence base to, let's say, for example, fish oil. Is it really useful? fish oil, for example, for the arthritis, or for example, preventions of Alzheimer, study have shown that the evidence is quite low, isn't it? Yeah. So you need to base on evidence-based medicines. Okay, so in order to translate bite-sized or even simple informations that patient can understand, now you can see that when you buy a health product or medicines, now they come in with a patient information leaflet, which is simplified versions of the prescribing informations. This is a summary of the product characteristics. Specifically for healthcare professionals, if you open a leaflet, it have a lot of information, including pharmacokinetic, pharmacology, that one's mainly for prescribing informations. So if you would like to give information about the product, it should be based on the patient leaflet. I can give an example. So when I'm practicing as a pharmacist, when the patient will come in, doctor, you see this one, it have so many side effects. Is it safe to be taken? Because according to the regulations, the adverse drug reaction should be reported under the summary of a product characteristic, isn't it? But when patients see that, or it can cause, for example, allergy reactions, or it can cause, for example, toxicities to the liver, would they have that intention to take it? So these informations, normally you need to communicate well to the patients. If not, the patient's adherence to the medication will be low. Okay, we're going to explain later on how low sometimes the patient's adherence. Just like to showcase as well, at the UBD, we have these students that develop these websites or YouTube channels where they present some of the informations about counselings, OTC counselings, about, for example, urinary tract infections, how to treat, for example, diarrhea, some skin diseases. I give the link here, which you can click and then see what all these videos, how the health communications translated as a YouTube video. Okay. Okay, let's move on to the part one of today's topics on the health professionals communications. Let's zoom in to talk about what is health literacy. Okay, this is very important components when we talk about patients counseling. Okay, again, what is health literacy? Okay, if you see these diagrams, it come in 6 parts. Health literacy is how patients can manage their own health based on their knowledge. What kind of knowledge? Because a lot of there are, as I mentioned, there's a lot of on social media, on the YouTube, that can get informations, but this is somewhat overloaded, information overload, that beyond what they can process, because they don't have the trainings like you have gone through for your next another 3 years for the pharmacy degree. And then from there, based on the given informations, they might come up with the wrong decisions. Wrong decision, maybe go for treatment, does it go for treatments, taking that medication or supplements, or not taking the health supplements. That's why it's very important for you as a pharmacist or part of a healthcare professional team, okay, to influence, to give a balanced view about treatment, about disease, about medication, health supplements, so that the patients, to empower the patients with the right knowledge so that they can take the correct health actions. For example, seek treatments if they say, for example, they have suffer from cancer, okay, because delay in cancer treatments can somewhat reduce the prognosis of the disease, isn't it? Okay. So overall, they might, if positive, successful health communications, patients will have a direct influence. that can impact patients' health outcome. Okay. I'm sure you come across this information about paracetamols, some informations just to make sure that their product sales. They will try to scare the consumer, saying that only paracetamol is very toxic, or paracetamol can harm your body. It will stay in your body for 5 years, 4 years. But is it true? Okay. What do you think? Anyway, I'd like to ask the backbenchers. Anyone have come across the paracetamol information which is very misleading, like what I have mentioned just now? I'm sure you come across this information. What do you think? Is it paracetamol? Is it a safe medication?
I think so.
Just to make sure that in what way sales, they will try to scare the consumer, saying that on
Because paracetamol
can harm your body, stay in your body,
include
but is it true?
medicine that people can buy it free. So everyone can buy paracetamol, and I think it's a safe medicine.
Okay, thanks for your contributions. Yes, so that's why it's very important to learn about pharmacokinetic, isn't it? Yeah. If it's going to learn next time on pharmacokinetic, to learn about the absorption of the drug, then you know that the paracetamol is quite well absorbed. The oral one can be 75%, up to 80% will be absorbed, and then well distributed to the body in terms of metabolism and eliminations. Almost the plasma elimination half-life is almost 1.9 to 2.5 hours, with volume distributions 50 liters, meaning to say that after taking one dose of paracetamol, for example, 1 gram, okay, within, that's why half-life is 2.5 hours. After 2.5 hours, the plasma concentration will reduce to half, isn't it? So it will not accumulate in the body because it will be excreted through your urine. Okay, that is how you translate your pharmacokinetic informations into positive health communications to the patients. But you don't have to tell them all the jargon. In the subsequent parts in my lectures, we're going to discuss how you can avoid using jargons, or you use layman terms to improve the successful professional health communications. Okay. So some shocking information also. Just now we know that 80% cannot recall, and then 50% what they recall is wrong. So now also we know that in terms of health literacies, 1/3 of the patients are actually not able to read basic healthcare materials, which include your patient leaflet, right? Okay, so you must make sure that you need to verify those patients' understanding. Okay. 42% of the patients could not understand directions for taking medications on either before meal or after meal. So this one is before meal anti-stomach, isn't it? So sometimes you just tick there on the label, but they almost half of them, in this case 40%, were not able to translate. They're still taking, let's say for example, after meal, after their lunch or dinner. Third one, 26% of the patients were unable to understand information on the appointment slip. Sometimes you put there, okay, next appointment date, but that doesn't translate into a positive information. I tell you, I will do a simple exercise with you to know that, because sometimes you feel like this is not possible, isn't it? But for those with low health literacies, okay, they might not be able to fully understand all these. For example, when is their next appointment? So I'm going to do some simple experiment with you. So I'm going to show you the next slide, which is the words have been written backwards. See whether you can understand or not. Okay. The first word I can give you the is one. Okay. So maybe you can take 3 minutes to read. Okay. Okay, wait.
Astagfirullahaladzim. Oh, uh, Unair Faculty of Pharmacy of University I Airlangga is located next of the next to the university teaching teaching hospital.
Yes, correct. So sometimes that is, even though you know that you need to read it backward, it's that is how the scenario to describe when some things have people with health literacy might have this kind of difficulties understanding, even though it's written clearly already. Okay, let's do something else. I'm going to give you a case now. Can you spend 3 minutes to go through this case, which I'm going to show you a video, and then I would like you to judge what if that counseling is a successful health communications. Yeah, okay.
Teaching hospital.
So sometimes that is, even though you know like you need to read it backward, that is how the scenario to describe when some things have people with health literacy might have this kind of difficulties understanding, even though it's written clearly. Okay, let's do something else. I'm going to give you a case now. Can you spend 3 minutes to go through this case, which I'm going to show you a video, and I would like you to judge what if that counseling is a successful health communication. Okay? So let me summarize. You are the pharmacist, so there will be you as a pharmacist. You're going to counsel this mother of a child with a reflux syndrome. Okay, so this is the scenario. So what you need to do is to identify if the counseling is it effective. If it's effective, then tell us why you think it's effective, and how this the counseling can be improved based on your own experience as a patient. Okay. So let me summarize. You are the pharmacist, so there will be you as a pharmacist, you're going to counsel this mother of child with reflux syndrome. Okay, so this is the scenario. So what you need to do is to identify if the counseling is effective. If it's effective, then tell us why you think it's effective and how this the counseling can be improved based on your own experience as a patient. So this is the okay. See whether I can on that.
Is she taking any medications either? Okay. Before I start, I would like to ensure you that everything discussed will be kept private and confidential. May I know your daughter's name, age, and BN number?
Amanda Lim, 3 years old. BN number is 789101112.
Okay. Do you know for what this medication has been given to her?
You mean what the doctor told me about this medication for, is it?
Yeah.
The doctor said that this medicine
Is she
to
taking
stop
any
my
medications either?
daughter's vomiting.
Okay. Before I start, I would like to ensure you that everything discussed will be kept private and confidential. Medication, or may I know your daughter's name,
He
age, and
briefly
BN number?
mentions, but I was very
Amanda
worried.
Lim,
I didn't get what
3 years
the
old.
doctor said.
BN number is
May
789101112.
Okay. Do you know for what this medication has been given to her?
You mean what the doctor told me about this medication for, is it?
Yeah.
The doctor said that this medicine
Is she
to
taking
stop
any
my
medications either?
daughter's
May I know how long
vomiting.
she's using this? Before I start, I would like to ensure you that everything discussed will be kept private and confidential. May I know your daughter's name, age, and BN number?
But I was
Amanda Lim, 3 years old. BN number is 789101112.
Do you know for what this medication has been given to her?
You mean what the doctor told me about this medication for, is it?
Yeah.
The doctor said that this medicine
Is she taking any medications either? May I know how long
vomiting.
using this?
Okay, I think okay. You can hear me? Can you hear me at the back? Yes, right. My voice is loud enough. Not this echo.
The Zoom cannot listen to you.
Okay. Now let's move on to the next one. Next slide, yeah. Okay, let's move on to part 2, factors to consider for a remote consultations, means online, or sometimes we call it virtual consultations. Okay, there are 3 types of consultations. First one is phone communication, phone consultations, which you just either use your mobile phone direct line to call your patients or to discuss with the doctors about patients' treatments. Okay, this one is without a video. The second one is we call it virtual consultations, which you can have either video or without the video. Okay, so the virtual consultations is connected through internet. In this case, it could be using your WhatsApp call also, okay? The third one will be the video consultations, which you have both audio and also video on, which you can also do, for example, examinations based on, because you have the camera on, then patient sitting in front of you, okay? Let's take a look on the benefit of virtual or remote consultations. If you look at the patient outcome, there will be an improved patient experience, okay, improved patients' outcomes in terms of their clinical parameters. For example, they have the increase in the uptake of medications, which can have a better control of their blood pressures or blood sugars, okay. For you also, as the manager of the pharmacy, there will be less waiting time, because then you can assign the timetable or the schedule according to the capacity of the staff. Okay, on the other hand, you can look at the system outcome here, okay. There will be a reductions in the physical hospital attendance, which is good because if the patients might be exposed to nosocomial infections, or sometimes we call it hospital acquired infections, okay. Expenditure savings, patients don't have to pay for their, for example, petrol or Grab or in order to go to meet the doctors or pharmacists at the hospitals. And then in terms of the environmental impact, less carbon footprint also, yeah, good for the environment, okay. So let's look at the factors before, but it's not all the cases applies to use online consultations. For example, you need to ask yourself what are the factors that you need to consider before you arrange remote consultations for your patients. Okay. So if you look at this part, this the part that denied or we call it showstopper, means that this type of patients might not be the best for remote consultation. First one is they themselves not willing, they are more happy to meet you face to face, okay. They have their options, okay. We cannot actually decide on behalf of the patients for their right to meet you face to face. And then if the patient doesn't have a stable Wi-Fi connections or doesn't have a phone in order for you to call, then definitely will be eligible, isn't it? Okay. So third one is, are they safeguarding concerns? Safeguarding here means that is there any potential things that could be harmful or elements that could be harmful to the patients or not. For example, if they do online call in the house, it might actually cause, for example, inconvenience for them, or for example, the family member might not be happy with that. So it's best to ask the patient to meet you face to face. Okay. Apart from that, there are other 8 factors that need to be considered before you can request for remote consultations. Okay. In the interest of times, we're not going to go through all the 8 factors. We're just going to discuss about one of these. But these are the 8 factors. I have listed it in the table format, which you can go through yourself. But we are going to just look at, so there's one video which I would like you to watch also, for you to judge whether all these 8 factors have been considered during their counselings. So do it after our today's lectures. You can see whether the counselings or virtual remote counseling is effective in that sense. Okay. So going to skip this one, but I'm going to focus on this part, whether how physical examination or body examinations, or for example, even taking body temperatures and functional assessment of the patients can be done is it can be done, or is it, what are the limitations when you use virtual consultations? So let's look at some example here. So most physical examinations, as you can see, because patients are staying at their house, are not coming to the hospitals, and study has shown that physical examinations could not be done reliably when the patient through remote consultation. So this is the main short limitations of virtual consultations. But if you look at the brighter side, it can be overcome if you have all these. For example, if asthmatic patients, they can have the peak flow meters at home, which they can then measure themselves what is the peak exploratory flow rate at home, and they can also show their inhaler techniques, which you can help to assess. Or for example, if they have the glucose meter at home, then they can test it, and then you will be able to give immediate advice whether their glucose is their fasting glucose or postprandial glucose is fall within the range, the normal range. Then you will be able to titrate or advise accordingly whether are they taking their medications correctly, or do they need to come back to the hospital to see the doctors. Okay, so these are the 8 factors which have advised you that you can, all these are very self-explanatory, which you can read yourself. It will be tested in exam also, okay? Please make sure you go through. As I mentioned earlier, there are quite a number of brick and mortars pharmacy or new pharmacy come out as a virtual online pharmacy, which they offer delivery and also counseling service. These two are some of the examples. For example, it could be multinational company also. So this is another one, which is they have chat functions, which you can call the doctors or pharmacists, and then the doctors will prescribe medications, which will then posted to your house. Okay. Now let's move on to the third part, which is the part 3, the last part of today's discussions, which we're going to discuss the techniques for improving communications. As we know, even now, just now when we are doing this online and then streaming, there are some technical issues. Likewise, for if you want to do remote consultations, preparations is the key. Okay, so how to identify if patients have a limited health literacies, or you know that they might have a poor outcome. Okay, so these are the red flags. Okay, total listed here 7 red flags. For example, if you ask them to fill in the registration form, is not well filled in, and they miss their appointment. They're supposed to come today, they come 2 weeks later to refill their medications. They are not taking their medications. Okay, they are not able to describe how the medication taking patterns. Okay, they miss their appointments with the doctors also. Okay, they only admit themselves to emergency departments during when their disease become critical. Okay, may not able to inform you in good details about their personal symptoms or how and when their disease have developed. So these 7 red flags shows that the patients have limited literacies. Therefore, you need to put in more effort in terms of your counselings. How in the way that you make you can have a closer rapport with the patients, which you want to make sure that the patient know that the patient is the center of the visits. Okay, just like if you go to see your lecturers in their lecturers room, if the lecturer is talking to you like this standing, it means that the lecturer is in the rush. The lecturer, he or she might not need to go to the lecture rooms, isn't it? Or if the pharmacist doesn't give the patient space to talk, okay, monopolize the whole sessions, which is also not very good because it shows that they try to end the session fast. Okay, if the pharmacist is also talking too quick, very quickly, so that you know that they are running out of times. So you must give the space and times for the patients so that they can happily give further information about their disease. Okay. It's very important also to avoid jargons. Maybe it sounds glamorous if you can use all these big words, or like for example, analgesic, carcinoma, but it doesn't mean a thing to the patients. Make sure you use, obviously, use the language the patient most comfortable with, okay? That have a closer cultural connotations also, okay? In the last slide also, I give you, there is a link about the how to use layman terms or alternative term in your counselings. For example, if you would use the word chronic, they might not be able to understand what is chronic. You have to translate it into something simple, for example, or the disease or your conditions may persist, but you can slowly overcome it. Even that is better, meaning there is, oh, this is a chronic disease, you have to take your medications continuously, okay, which somewhat not very helpful for the patients, yeah, okay. So how to use or translate something information into plain language? Focus that simple instructions that patient can uptake or can learn and then put into actions. Okay, and you can create materials for readings that is suitable for here give example 6 to 8 grades level students like those, let's say for example 8 to 12 years olds, which is something simple which they can easily understand. You can also use AI to help you to generate informations which is have a very good readabilities. Font size also, especially those older people, they might need a bigger font size to read. Okay, you can also show illustrations that can help them to relate. Yeah. So this is a quite a good website. If you can, I advise you to look at it. It gives very simple language, talking about cancer, diabetes, how heart health. For example, here you can do a lot to lower your risk for type 2 diabetes mellitus. Okay, very simple and straightforward. Okay. So another thing is cultural bias is everywhere. We cannot avoid it. We just have to embrace and then trying to make full use. Okay, study have shown that if let's say the healthcare providers able to understand or be on the same frequency with the patient, either use the same language or tell them what is the commonality, commons things about the healthcare provider and the patients, which help to make the connections with the patients. Then this close rapport or trust that build can help to increase the success rate of health communications. Yeah. Okay. Some of the non-verbal communications also very important. Your facial expressions, hand movements. Okay, I'm not sure whether it's true. We have an Arabic speaker here. To say this one, is it considered offensive? No offensive. Okay, so this is not the truth. If you Google, sometimes you say that okay. So this one is acceptable in Arabic world. Okay, so I need to change my slides. Okay, eye contact also, if you doesn't have not 100% full or 100% of the times during like suitable eye contact is very important to show that you are sincere and then also caring. Yeah. Okay. These are other examples also. This one definitely yes. Yeah. If you show this is considered an offensive in the especially to Caucasians. And for example, if your patient is Vietnam origins, try not to use this, because if this one here means finger cross in the Western world means good luck, finger cross, but it means another thing in other part of the world. Yeah. Okay. So it's very important to and try to adjust. Obviously, here we have some international students also, or which you can learn from your counterparts of other students. What will be considered as culturally acceptable or culturally sensitive? Okay, like for example, some in some certain cultures, yeah, they feel like okay, doctors or pharmacists or healthcare provider, they should dictate and then give instructions. Therefore, you need to participate that or anticipate that, and then uh, engage with the patient, saying that okay, your health is your, you need to take care of your own health, and therefore it's very important to participate in the discussions to increase the concordance or adherence to the discussions. Okay. Also here, I like to stress that sometimes also there's elements of patients' belief in supernatural spirits that may result in, for example, they use traditional medicines or religious healings, spiritual healings. Okay, it depends on the hospital policy that you work with. Okay, different hospital might have different policy. Okay, but that is something that you cannot ignore, and you must also try to explore. Okay, this is, for example, there's a study conducted by the Faculty of Public Health at the UNE. So based on the studies, they have described that like in Indonesia alone, there are more than 400 different ethnic group. So in terms of the health belief, what is being shaped is very different from the Western medicines. So maybe if you read from, I can just take here from this part, okay? They review that there is this metaphor or descriptions that describe the concept of illness, okay? That the patients describe themselves not being able to move as usual, okay, like mean restrictive in their movement, or due to supernatural or magical things, or for violating the taboos, or so this is some of the key information identified in this systematic meta-analysis. So what this researcher they have done, they have screened various publications that have been published based on the Indonesian culture, and then they identify or they describe what are the common concept of illness among different ethnic group. Okay, with that, it brings me to the end of today's discussions, but I will advise you to take a look at those videos and also look at this plain language word list, which you can help. But this one is mainly in English, but obviously you can come up with an Indonesian language version, which is much more useful for local practice. Okay, I think also time's up. Okay, we can take a 10 minutes break before we resume to the next lectures. Thank you very much for your time. What are the common concept of illness among different ethnic groups? Okay, with that, it brings me to the end of today's discussions. But I will advise you to take a look at those videos and also look at this plain language book list, which you can help. But this one is mainly in English. But obviously, you can come up with an Indonesian language version, which is much more useful for local practice. Okay. I think also time's up. Okay. We can take a 10 minutes break before we resume to the next lectures. Thank you very much for your time. Okay, shall we start? Come down. We have 1 more hours. Anyone birthday today? Free donuts? It's okay. You can. I don't mind. You can have your donuts while listening. It's okay, because we need to finish by 12, isn't it? Anyone inspired to be working as a pharma industry, working in as a medical sales rep, or working as the drug regulatory agent? Okay, what about you?
My name is Ahmad Fadil.
Not yet. What you aim to be after your degree?
I am to be
Anyone birthday today?
in clinical.
Clinical, working in hospital.
Yes, hospital.
Okay, I don't mind. Yes, that will be a good choice. Also, what about your friend?
My intention is also going to clinical in hospital. Yeah.
Even if you're working in a clinical, also you need to understand the product registrations, because in the clinicals, some emergency medicine is not registered. You need to apply approvals to be imported. Then you need to go through the process and procedure. Okay. What about all these backbencher here? Wow, a lot of cash. Yes. What you aim to be after your degree? After what your aim to be, what you plan to do after your pharmacy degree?
I hope I can work in apa namanya? Apotek. In this in apotek.
As a community pharmacist?
Yes.
Emergency medicine is not registered. What about you?
Yes, entrepreneur woman. Yes.
You have a lot of potential, definitely. What's your name?
Galuh.
Yes, you're already very successful. I can see. Okay, it's good. Entrepreneurship is also very important. One of the things that you can do, import and export. You can you can set up your own import and export company, right? And then you do own tradings. So let's say you identify there's cosmetic lines which is highly potential to be successful in Indonesia, or there's some generic products from overseas that you like to become the sole distributors. Then you can work out on the import and exports, because you already have your pharmacist license, which you then can become the product holders. Okay, so these are very important points that you can consider. So please do pay attention. We're going to discuss about product medicine registrations and legislations, namely Southeast Asia country, ASEAN. Okay. So let's go through some of the boring bits about legislation and regulations, which is somewhat, normally the boring things we like to come out in the exams, isn't it? Because students don't like to study, but you have a lot of theoretical informations. Let's go through together what is a legislative framework, okay? So a drug or pharmacy legislative framework is needed to implement and enforce various components of national drug policies. Okay, you have the in Indonesia level and national level, and also international drug policy. issued by, for example, WHO, mainly to regulate the activities. So the Indonesian law apply to Indonesia only. That is for overseas. Then you, let's say you want to export to Thailand or export to Brunei, then you also need to take care of the what are the importations to those countries. Yeah, okay. But then in ASEAN, later we're going to discuss what are the ACTD, ACTD, okay, which is the harmonized dossier to be applied for product registrations. What will be the impact, okay, if you have a poor quality product or ineffective product or ingredients found in the, I think it happened somewhat last year. I think some paracetamol syrup, isn't it, or that contaminated propylene glycol. So there's a lot of product in recall happening in Indonesia. So then you can see that there is a lot of roles played by the regulatory agency and pharmacists in to make sure that only product with good qualities and safe to be sold to the patients or to the public. Here there are different examples. This is a cosmetic containing mercury. Okay, why this heavy metals is added into the cosmetic, for example, whitening cream. Okay, if you understand the pharmacology or mechanism of actions, this mercury ion, okay, can be replacing the thyroxine enzyme ion, which is then can help to block the melanin formations. Melanin is the one who gives us the pigmentation, isn't it? Either freckles or a darker skin tone. But those who like to themselves to be have fairer skins, if they apply mercury, but then the is effective, but is it safe? It's not safe because these heavy metals can accumulate, can penetrate through the central nervous systems and also accumulates in different body parts, including your kidney. Okay, so long term it can cause this kidney or also central nervous system damage. Okay. So moving on, these regulations in place are very important, okay, because it need to make sure that it lists down what are the responsibilities, qualifications, right and role of all party involved, including the what medication the doctor can prescribe and can be sold, or what pharmacists can sell in their pharmacy, and also what kind of medications and what are the times needed for them to assess the dossier for approvals. Okay. Not just on the regulatory points, this also we need to have rules and regulations to control manufacturing. For example, all these generic pharma company producing medicines in Indonesia need to get approvals, isn't it? From which body? Okay, and then including import and exports. If, for example, for your personal luggage to bring in either to overseas or to Indonesia, there is some limit. For example, normally it's 1 month use, cannot be more than that. Okay, but what about large quantity of consignments to be imported and exported? Let's say, for example, if you are the authorized importers of some cancer medications to Indonesia, specifically targeted, for example, for some leukemia. Okay. Dispensing also, what about this cold chain management? So all these things need to be strictly followed to the given regulations. Okay. So just now I mentioned safe, effective, and also good quality. Also, there's another factors also cost. So these 4 factors always very important in order to make sure that important factors. Can give you another example is, for example, COVID-19 vaccines. Okay, if you have 2 choice here, so you have, let's say, COVID vaccine 19-1, which is 99% effective, but then have severe adverse drug reactions up to 10%. Okay, and you have another option is 98% effective, but then the adverse drug reactions is percentage is much better. For example, only 2%. Okay, which one you will choose? Vaccine 1 or vaccine 2? Vaccine 1 or vaccine 2? Okay, let's try another one. You have vaccine 1 or vaccine 2?
Vaccine 2.
Why vaccine 2?
Sorry, can you repeat?
Vaccine A, 99%, 98% adverse drug reactions up to 10%. Vaccine 2, 98%, much better, but then the adverse drug reaction 2%. Okay, which one you would?
The lower effect, we get the. I choose the vaccine 2 because the effect is lower than vaccine 1. I think. From your explanation, maybe.
Because if you look at the effective is even though the effectiveness is just 1% difference, but then it's much more safer in terms of number of adverse drug reaction, isn't it? So that's the things that you need to. Then another third one is quality. Is it safe or not? I mean, in terms of quality, were they able to show, for example, consistency in the productions in terms of manufacturing? And then fourth one, cost. If it's like one dose for vaccine 1, perhaps could be 10 times more expensive than the vaccine B. Then all these 4 factors you need to really take into considerations later on when you work as a purchasing, or for example either as in the hospitals or the larger national level, what type of vaccine you need to procure, for example, for some certain diseases. Okay, so these elements of drug registrations can be summarized in this: what should be regulated, who is regulating what, scope of regulations. Here, geographic area depends on the countries, and then you have, for example, ASEAN network, and then you have the WHO network. Okay, looking at the scope. Okay, which sanctions, okay, which legislations is being used, or which aspect need to be regulated. Yeah. Okay. So let's move on. Just now I quickly checked, done some quick interview. Some would like to work as a clinical pharmacist in the hospitals. Some like to work as a community pharmacist. Okay, some like to become a pharmacy entrepreneur. Okay, so there's a lot of opportunities in the regulatory affair as well. Okay, in that sense, because let's explore this together. Talking about regulatory sciences or regulatory affair. When you type in the, for example, LinkedIn or any jobs websites, when you put regulatory affair, it also cover other area also, not just pharma. This is, for example, tobacco industry. This one will be on the Pfizer's, yes, antiviral. This is related to medical and pharmaceuticals. Okay, so this is based in, for example, at Jakarta Selatan, for this Swedish-based company, AstraZeneca. Okay, they're hiring regulatory affair managers. One of the essential for the roles is to have a pharmacy degree and also or a degree in science, and this is what they need to do in terms of their regulatory aspect. Okay, I have one exercise later on which you need to identify what are the responsibilities if you're working at the regulatory affair. Okay, if you want to become a freelancer also, you can form your own company. For example, this one that you help other smaller companies or even bigger company to conduct research or conduct their product registrations. Let's say, for example, some overseas company want to operate in Malaysia, Indonesia, and they don't have the local technology know-how. Then you will be representing them in applying for product import and export and registrations. Okay. So I have some small classroom exercise for you to do. Okay, you need to, I'm going to show you 2 job advertisements related to regulatory affair. Okay, what you need to do is to read through and then identify, okay, which I will ask randomly, the job scope. Okay, I've tried to penetrate those in the corner. Okay, so this is the first one. Okay. So I have some small classroom exercise for you. Okay, you need to, I'm going to show you the job advertisement related to regulatory affair. Okay, what you need to do is to read through and then identify, okay, which I will ask randomly to the job scope. I'm trying to penetrate those in the corner. So this is the first one. Okay. Too small, can read. Okay, done. So I move to the second one. Yeah. Okay. Can you answer what is the job responsibility of the first one? May I know your name? Hello.
This. Development prevent itu prevent of stock and
Yeah. Can you name me a few job scope of the regulatory affair activity?
Development of prevent and stock and use is product and very development pharma company and governance.
Okay. Do you agree with your friends? Do you think what she mentioned is correct?
I don't know.
See, even your friend cannot. Okay, let's try another end quickly. Can you answer my question? Can you hold this? Yeah. What are the responsibilities? Can you name me a few? What's shown just now on the screen?
Responsibility. What you show on screen?
What you expect a regulatory pharmacist to do?
Garda terdepan masyarakat. Garda terdepan masyarakat.
What is the job scope when you apply job? You interview, they will tell you or what is the expectation, what you can do.
Yeah, I can provide help for other people. I can provide help.
Okay, never mind. Maybe you can help your friend to answer.
Maybe I can help to provide healthcare to other people.
Again?
Maybe I can help to provide healthcare to other people.
Provide healthcare to other people, not quite. But anyway, so it's very important. Yeah, there are a lot of job responsibilities, which is really interesting. That one of the key thing is why this considered as a good career or good prospect, because the remunerations, the package is very attractive, and also there are a lot of jobs promotions opportunities lah. Like for example, you can go in as for example entry level and then promoted into a senior executive, principal executive, managerial level, okay, and then the regional directors, Asia Pacific directors, okay. The pay easily, if it could be, for example, the regional directors, easily, how much, Said? Could be USD 20,000, depends. If you're based in Singapore, will be 30 to 40 Singapore dollars per month. Actually, it's very, very lucrative job. But then it's not impossible. I have some friends working at that level already. Yeah, within how many years? 15 years, 10 to 15 years. So they start from executive level. So there will be promotion every 2 or 3 years. So subsequently could be a very fulfilling job. So what they are doing actually here, okay, which we're going to discuss later, but do take notes that this is one of few that you can explore, okay, as a regulatory affair executive, okay, which you are very well trained in this sense, because if you look at the key responsibility, it's all about what you have learned throughout your degree, pharmacy degree or pharmaceutical science degree. Okay, so this is what what are the objective of regulatory affair in this sense is to get approvals for the drug to be marketed. Just now you know that the medicines before is being used in the hospitals, you need to approve by the regulatory agency, isn't it, for each country. Take for example, COVID-19 vaccines from Pfizer's, the mRNA vaccines. It's not like straight away Pfizer import here in Indonesia, it can be applied. It need to be approved, okay? And then that will be the first phase. Second phase, post approvals. Then they're looking at the new indications for those extended indications for those particular drug. So this is, for example, if you study your anticoagulants, then you know this is the newer agents, anticoagulants, which is the name called rivaroxaban. Okay, is a direct factor 10A inhibitors, which is used for here when the first drug being introduced is given orally for prevention of strokes, replacing warfarin. Okay, in your pharmacology lectures, then you will study what is the advantage of this NOAC compared with the warfarin. Okay, so subsequently the drug company in this case is Bayer, it's a German-based company, and then they ask for a second indications. What is the purpose of asking second indications? That means to widen the use so that the doctor will prescribe more, isn't it? Yeah, prescribe more, patient will be given this. So in turn, it will be translated into a bigger sales for the pharma company itself. Okay, so back to the questions. What those regulatory affair pharmacists or executive will be doing. So I listed a few here. First one is researching on the project therapeutic area. So normally you will be given 1 or 2 medicines or therapeutic area, for example, cancer, or you are given therapeutic area or antihypertensive drug. Then antihypertensive drug for that pharma company, maybe they have 4 products that you need to know very well, okay, because you need to inform and then to meet with the prescriber and to tell them that what are the advantages of your product, your medicines compared with other pharma companies. Yeah, okay. So you need to plan well also your interactions with the health authorities, including the regulatory agencies, prescriber also. Organize meetings which you're going to pitch and lead and attend. What are the daily, monthly plans, okay, weekly plans, okay. Communicate well with the co-workers and stakeholders, including your line managers, okay, including on what are the activities you have conducted to disseminate or to educate the prescriber about your products, which is your medicines lah, cover under your cover under you lah, which you are given assigned a sales target to achieve. Okay, and then you need to also complete the submission here. Work here means dossier preparations lah. We're going to discuss what are dossiers, okay, in our subsequent slides. Okay, now here these are the examples of regulatory agencies in ASEAN country lah, ASEA, ASEAN country, namely for example in Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore, Vietnam, and Philippines. Okay, so all these are the national bodies lah, representing the Ministry of Health of each country. Okay, for example, the Badan Pengawas Obat dan Makanan, okay, representing the Indonesia Ministry of Health, which they're going to approve those products, then only pharmaceutical product then only can be sold in Indonesia lah. Likewise, if you go in Malaysia, it will be MPRA, Singapore will be Health Sciences Authorities, yeah, okay. So let's move on. Just now I briefly discussed about the technical dossier, isn't it? What is the dossier? Okay. ACTD, the name stands for ASEAN Common Technical Document. It could be, the technical document depends if it's talking about EU, then you will be called EMA, European Medicines Agency's common technical documents. Okay, or sometimes documents also replaced with dossier. Okay, so you also know just now the ASEAN's countries, member countries. Currently, these are what's presented here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is show you another slides explaining the drug registrations. I need your full attentions to answer based on the slides. Then you will have to answer these two questions lah. Okay, first one is what are the time durations from submissions until you get the registrations? How much time is needed, okay, to get the approvals? If you get a faster approval, means that the product will be in the market. So this is like during emergency, during COVID-19, in record-breaking times, within a few months, those vaccines is being approved. Okay. What are the segments of document required for product registrations? Okay, this is, for example, under the dossier, what are the segments of information you need to include, okay, for the dossier submissions? Okay, try to identify now. Can I give you 5 minutes maybe? What are the segments of document required for product registration? This is, for example, under the dossier, what are the segments of information you need to include? Okay, can you answer the first question? Okay, try to identify now. First question, what is the first question? What is the duration needed? Is it get the according to the chart, how much time needed from submissions of your document up to approval?
I think 6 months maybe. 6 months.
6 months.
6 months.
Another alternative answer. What do you think?
I think it's more than
A year. Okay, good. Okay, let's look at the question number 2. Okay, can you answer, gentlemen? Do you still remember our question number 2?
Segment of documentation. There is, what is? I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, let's look at the question number 2.
Hmm. Yes. I don't know. What is it? Administration. Administration specification. Administration specification dosage form pharmacology pre what preclinical data and
Change your specs. Anyway, so this one, the informations need to be added as part of the dossier preparations. Okay, let's go through together, yeah? Okay, well done for those that answer well. Okay, 2 years, yeah, if you add up all this, can easily take up to 2 years to get approvals. So it's a very long process. Sometimes can drag up to 3 years. Okay, so for the segments, these are the one. Administration informations means that regarding these medications, in terms of this is the certificate of pharmaceutical product. I hear because you are year 2 student, we are not, I mean, you should also expose already what is the dosage form, for example, is a tablet, is a capsule, if it's a concocted, is a syrup, right? Pharmacology, what are the pharmacology actions in terms, which the target receptors, okay? Which functional organs will be affected. Okay, this one maybe subsequently in your future semester you're going to learn. Okay, all the animal studies involved, preclinical and clinical data, the clinical trial results, correct or not? Okay, so just now you come across the word common technical document or common technical dossier, isn't it? What is a dossier? Anyone can answer me? For example, if you have a long assignment to write, okay, so this one is very proactive. What is the dossier?
Dossier is like a dosage of drug.
Okay. Okay, so just now you come across the word common technical. When your, let's say for example, Dr. Andy give you an assignment, what is would you ask about the template or what kind of information to be given? Isn't that your, like let's say you have to write a assignment about a disease, Okay, how you start? There will be some segments you need to include, right? Like, for example, the prevalence, for example, the treatments, or for example, what are the etiology. Same thing also for dossier. Huh? So what is the dossier? It's a collection of papers or documents that give detailed information about a person or a subject. Here, your subject is what? Your submission, isn't it? You want to get your medicines to be approved by regulatory agency so that it can be sold in the particular country, so that it can be approved as a registered product or registered medicines, right? Okay, so those compilations of informations, normally those we call it a dossier, okay. So you need to submit your dossier to the regulatory agencies lah. For example, if during the product registrations and in local market or international market, sometimes you have this a bigger group. In this case that we are discussing the ASEAN, okay, ASEAN group. So they have this ASEAN Common Technical Dossier, which all the ASEAN countries have agreed that this will be the format for product registration submissions. Okay, later on during renewal or registration, because when it's being approved, sometimes it's provisionally registered or provisionally approved. They give you 2 years, and 2 years then you need to give more further safety data or clinical data or efficacy data. Okay, so then it will become a full registrations. Okay. Okay, so what is important for this regulatory affair? Why they need to prepare a very organized dossier? As you all know, so dossier is a document that being a single consistent document that unified so that it can be used for product registration and renewal, isn't it? And then it can be then added or revised from time to time based on the latest clinical data or latest information regarding that particular medicines. Okay. So very quickly about SCTD. Okay. So as I mentioned, it's a common format of a dossier agreed by all regulatory agency within ASEAN countries, which then it will be, you can send the same dossier to Singapore, to Malaysia, to Indonesia, and then yet being recognized. Okay, so now what they are trying to do is, which still haven't fully implemented, like let's say now a product registered in Indonesia, automatically it will be getting the registration also in other country, but it will be they will be implemented in stages in futures. Okay. So the guidelines is, as I mentioned, is a format, just like your assignment. You need to know what is the format, isn't it? For submissions for your product registrations, the format is defined under the ACTD. Okay. So let's go through the parts needed for ACTD. If you recall just now the flow chart, the 5 things are part of this. Okay. So the part 1 is including the administrative data. Part 2, quality data, for example, quality control. For example, the product you need to know is consistent, isn't it? Let's say the paracetamol 500 milligram tablet, it should be 10% within the 10% allowed range in terms of the content of medicines. This is just one part of the quality information. Okay, non-clinical documents, for example, the testing in terms of whether it have adverse reactions or is it safe when it administers to the cell lines or to animal studies. Clinical document, this is using the real humans. You have phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 clinical trial. Okay. So under part 1, these are the information that will be added, including what is the labeling informations. Remember just now about the patient information leaflet need to be added also. Okay, part 2, quality document, including the dissolution data, disintegrations, and then the purity of the product, okay, or the API, the raw materials, okay. Non-clinical documents, we include what you have. That's why it's very important to study well all your pharmacology, pharmacokinetic, toxicologies, because it's related, very applicable when you are practicing later on. Okay, so these are the examples. Okay, so you also have clinical documents looking at the, for example, biopharmaceutical associated analytical methods, clinical pharmacology study. This one mainly is looking at the clinical trial results. Okay. And then section DEF, which is absolutely looking at all these attachments that need to be added. Okay. So I still have 10 minutes. Remember, just now we started around 10 past 11. So for the next 15 minutes or so, I'm going to quickly about using one example. Just now we are discussing overall, isn't it? Using the product registrations, but we don't specifically give one example. So now we're going to discuss in details. Okay. For example, traditional medicines. Okay. As you know, there are different category of medicines, isn't it? For example, here, let's look at this table comparing different regulatory agencies. So you have, for example, MPRA up to Thailand FDA. Okay. So in Malaysia, in Indonesia, you have this category, registration category 1, category 2 and 3. Okay, category 1 regarding new drugs, or sometimes they call it new chemical entity, biological product, including your vaccines. Okay, biosimilars product. Okay, copy drugs here means generic medicines lah. Okay, generic medicines that already off patent. Okay, and then other supply which contain medicines, which it could be including your hand sanitizers, okay, cosmetic cream, okay. So here, where do you think this traditional product falls into? Okay, perhaps under category 3. Okay, if you look at other country examples, okay, they have different category, depends on the law of each country. But the ACTD, when during submissions, the ACTD documents or STD format applies. Okay, hope you make sense. Okay, now why I want to show this example about herbal medicines, because it's a huge market out there, especially those who are thinking of venturing into entrepreneurships or having your import export, or even you can manufacture your own product and then you become the own product holder. Okay, so the herbal medicinal product market revenue global is huge, 171 billion, okay, USD. Okay, I just give an example of Brunei medicine order, because I mentioned different countries have different law and regulations, therefore the category different. But during submissions, the process is somewhat streamlined now between the ASEAN member country. Okay, this is the definitions of traditional medicines, or sometimes you can call it natural product. Okay, in Brunei's under the Brunei Medicine Order 2007. Okay. It is a product used in the practice of indigenous medicines which contain naturally occurring substances of plants, animal, or mineral. Okay, so let me just quickly show you some examples. Here it can be in the hard gelatin capsules. This could be the neem powder and then compressed into a tablet, film coated tablet, or direct compressed tablet. You can have the bead so it can in the tea bag format. Okay, all these could contain extract or could be the raw powder. So all these, they are under different category, but you need to check properly. It's too early to introduce in year 2. Normally is when you venture into a regulatory affair after graduations, then you need to have a hands-on knowledge, go through all these documents. For Brunei, interestingly, for traditional medicines, it doesn't require pre-marketing registrations, meaning to say that it can be marketed without registrations in Brunei. but limited by the small populations, like just 500,000, 300,000. Therefore, it's not many companies willing to venture into that market. But if you go to Brunei, there are quite a numbers of, you can find a lot of Indonesian made product also. For example, here, this is real pictures I taken from some grocery stores or drug stores in Brunei, which is mainly manufactured in Indonesia. Okay, with that, it brings to the end of today's sessions. If you have any questions, here this is just a preview about the medicine registrations. Obviously, if you want to know more, you need to read the guidelines, okay? Any questions so far? Remember, only 20% remember, and then out of the 20%, 50% are wrongly recall, isn't it? So that's why revision is very important, but inevitably you will be still have to be tested for exam. Okay. Everyone happy? So if feel free to email me also. If you the afternoon sessions, I will go through the similar lectures. If you would like to re-attend, okay, most welcome. With that, I end today's sessions. Thank you very much. So far, remember only 20% remember, and then out of the 20%, 50% are wrongly recall, isn't it? So that's why revision is very important, but inevitably you'll be still have to be tested for exam. Okay. Everyone happy? So if feel free to email me also. If you the afternoon sessions, I will go through the similar lectures if you would like to read.
So thank you very much, Professor Long. The morning session for the Professor Long has over. So you may, if you don't have any program or you want to see the next lecture, it's possible. But if you don't, if you have any issues, if you have any programs outside, please, you may take the chance to leave the room. So we are about to have another lecture from Dr. Said Musaweh. It is not part of the pharmacy practice satu, ya. It is just for understanding about the medicinal chemistry. Jika saudara punya kegiatan lain, silahkan untuk keluar dari ruangan ini. Salah, tidak mengapa. So I'm going to introduce you with Dr. Said. Dr. Said is a postdoc student at the University Brunei Darussalam. Apa? Tak apa, keluar saja enggak apa-apa, silakan. And then he is going to present about the utilizing machine learning models in drug discovery employing diverse computational workflows. I'll give you 5 minutes to go out from the room, and then we will start again with the lecture. So I'm going to introduce you with Dr. Said. Dr. Said is a postdoc student at the University Brunei Darussalam. Apa? Keluar satu enggak apa-apa, silakan. And then he is going to present about the utilizing machine learning models in drug discovery employing diverse computational workflows. I'll give you 5 minutes to go out from the room, and then we will start again with the lecture. Baik, adik-adik sekalian, silahkan keluar. Kita akan mulai untuk kelas yang baru lagi. Kalau mau tetap di sini tidak masalah, tidak mengapa ya. Tapi ini bukan kuliah farmasi praktis lagi. Oke, silahkan ditutup pintunya. Right, we start with the lecture from Dr. Said.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني. Thank you for coming, and I would like to extend my thanks to Dr. Andy and Dr. Chris for inviting us for this lecture. First of all, I would like to introduce the topic, and I suppose that if not all of you, just at least part of you are already taken the pharmacology modules, the medicinal chemistry, because this field is related to like interdisciplinary field. It combines more than one field, like chemistry plus biology, computer sciences, mathematics, and statistics. Those fields, like newly emerged fields around 20 years ago, started this kind of interdisciplinary fields. It's so useful to like benefit from different fields of knowledge in order to come up with new ideas, to develop new medicines, for example, or reduce the time or cost required for developing medications. So the topic will be around utilizing the machine learning models in drug discovery, employing diverse computational workflow. I would like to put more about the introduction about the topic and how those ideas can evolve together. Then I will just show some like small part of my work after I finish those introduction. First of all, the drug development usually divided into two main divisions. First of all, the classical techniques for drug discovery, and the other one is the modern era of developing medications that depends mostly on computers. The classical pathway can be divided into four main sections. The empirical approach, this is like a historical approach that usually was utilized or like discovered or like evolved by even by the aboriginal people in the local any area in the world. It was used before as traditional medicines by several people, several civilizations, in order to treat the basic things. And this usually depends on the serendipity. Serendipity means like by chance they found that this medication or this substance is useful. The second pathway for this classical drug discovery pipeline is the bioassay guided fractionation. Yeah. The bioassay guided fractionation. Usually this field depends more on taking advantage from the natural products and how those natural products can, such as the plants, fungi, and other organisms, can be exploited and in order to fraction and extract medication from those organisms. But not just the primary extract. Usually they fractionate those extracts in order to find how those fraction can be benefit for certain kind of medicines, such as anti-cancer, antimicrobial, etc. Then the third one is the high throughput screening. This kind like shows the starting of automation in drug discovery. Usually depends on large libraries of compounds that tested against specific targets. And usually used to identify potential drug candidates. This uses brute force method for required extensive resources. Usually brute force means we should test those targets against certain compounds. Then the last one is considered the approach for the next era of drug discovery. It is the rational drug design. This usually uses the understanding of biological targets and the mechanism of action, which was not discovered in the last pipelines. Okay, the modern or computerized technique for usually leverage from the artificial intelligence, which is the buzzword now in the today's drug discovery and even in all aspects of life. This has too many pipelines. In general, I can summarize it within the in silico screening. This is the screening for medicines using in silico. In silico means the computers, using computers before you go for any experimental work. This doesn't take the physical testing until we pass through too many steps of in silico testing. Then we can pass through to the experimental work to confirm what we found. The second one is part of the in silico screening, considered called molecular dynamic simulation. This kind of simulation is like showing more about the mechanism of action between the ligand, what we call it ligand, or the small molecule, or the medicine. That's what this is the term means. Opposite to biologics, because we have two kinds of medications. Biologics is like protein that can interact with other protein in the body, or we have the small molecules or ligand. So this kind of molecular dynamic simulation can show the interaction between the ligand and the protein itself in order to understand the mechanism and develop that mechanism for the benefit of the medicine. Then the deep learning in drug discovery, this is like another part of artificial intelligence models, because artificial intelligence is the big umbrella, then it contains too many divisions such as the machine learning, then deep learning, and all other kinds related to computer models. The last one is, the fourth one, sorry, will be the generative models. Those generative models, as known for everybody, should be like ChatGPT. This considers mainly the generative models in order to generate answers and information about any question you ask them. Then we have also the data mining and knowledge graphs. This is another modern computerized technique for drug discovery. This uses artificial intelligence algorithm to mine vast amount of biomedical literature, patents, clinical trials, and in order to identify potential drugs candidate. Usually this kind of pipeline combine too many resources of information in order to come up with new medicine or new use for already known medicine. The last one is the personalized medicine. This is usually takes the advantage of artificial intelligence by exploiting the DNA data and combine it with the uses of those medication, and how can we exploit this knowledge in order to develop new medicine for like for certain cases and for certain persons according to their cases. And how can we, but usually because this is like for personalized, you can't apply it for other people. It's just specified for certain cases. I will explain for each one of those with giving some examples. Like the first one, as we mentioned about the empirical approach in drug discovery, this is rooted in the idea of observing and testing without necessarily understanding the underlying mechanism. Historically, this is very known, as we mentioned before, the Aboriginal tribes and the local areas, they were using those medication, and by serendipity, they found that it was effective for certain diseases. One of the most known example in 1940s, warfarin. Warfarin is known as anticoagulant. Medicine was discovered by chance when a soldier was tried to attempt to suicide by using rat poison. This rat poison contains the warfarin, but they found this prolonged the bleeding and saved him from death. The next example is the penicillin. Everybody knows penicillin. Alexander Fleming, who was like by chance, he put this fungi called Penicillium notatum beside the bacteria, and he found that this penicillium notatum has prevented the effect of bacteria by interfering in the synthesis of bacteria cell wall. The mechanism was not known at that time, but later, after like many years, they come up with the mechanism of action for penicillin. Also, we have the aspirin. It's a very known example in this case. Aspirin usually was taken from the willow bark and has been extracted like in 19th century to like centuries ago. And the active compound was the salicylic acid. But at that time, no mechanism known, even the active compound was not characterized as now. And as you can see here in this slide, okay, this is the salicylic acid. This is the initial active compound. Then later it was developed into many derivatives such as benzoic acid, salicylene, acetyl salicylic acid, the final product of aspirin used by Bayer. The mechanism of action was known or elucidated in 1970s, and it's owned by Bayer, company called Bayer. Everybody knows about this company. Then the second pathway in the classical drug discovery pathway is the bioassay guided fractionation. As I explained just now, it is the systematic process used in the field of natural products discovery. And the approach involves extracting compounds from natural resources and fractionating those extracts into further fractions in order to find the biological activities. Usually, they take like the first fractionation, they use it for if their aim is to discover anti-cancer medication. Then they try it for certain assays for anti-cancer, for example, MTT, and they keep fractionating until they find which one of those fractions is the most effective against this cell line for MTT assay. This is one of the most important examples here. It's paclitaxel. Paclitaxel is very known medicine, anti-cancer medicine called Taxol, derived from the bark of the Pacific yew tree called Taxus brevifolia. This was discovered by a campaign called bioassay guided fractionation. It showed very promising anti-cancer activity and still used until now for many cancers and chemotherapy. Usually, this medicine was found or identified in 1995. Another example here for the bioassay guided fractionation is the artemisinin. This is a recent example, can be considered because it was found in 2011. Artemisinin, also natural products, was extracted from a plant called sweet wormwood plant, Artemisia annua. Artemisinin is the potent antimalarial drug. The discovery of artemisinin was guided by traditional Chinese medicine, where sweet wormwood was used to treat fever. Then by bio-guided assay fractionation, they found it's a very good antimalarial medication. Also, another example is the camptothecin. This is alkaloid derived from a tree called, or a bark tree called Camptothetica acuminata. This also exhibited anti-tumor activity. The crude extract was fractionated in order to find its anti-tumor activity in 1966. Then the third pipeline for drug discovery is the high throughput screening. This is the beginning of the era of automation and robotics. As you can see in this slide here, there are like a huge amount for usage of machines and robotics in order to do this kind of experiment. But this kind of experiment usually is very sensitive because it contains high amount of libraries of compounds. Those compounds or chemicals available with many of the companies, like big companies, and they try those companies whenever they, for example, they want to find out anti-cancer medication or whatever, they try it for anti-cancer assays until they found which one of those compounds within hundreds of thousands or millions, which one is the most effective against this assay. Then they keep doing other assays and optimization until they found out which one is the best. As it's known, it's like the process usually involves big libraries. At least it takes around like 10,000 up to hundreds of millions of compounds. The advantage for this process usually its efficiency, because it gives real results, because all those compounds and chemicals, they are tried upon those targets, and so you are sure about the results and you can publish. And now if you go to some websites such as PubChem or whatever, you can find the results for those assays against certain chemicals, and will mention that this is done by high throughput screening campaign. The only challenge actually for this process is the cost. Actually, the cost is very high, and the infrastructure needed is very demanding, because the machines done is very expensive machines. Some examples for this process, usually, as you can see from the slide here, there is something called a protein-protein interaction. Those usually processes happen inside the body for the cells progression and growth. So sometimes if there is any mutation between one of those proteins, cancer can evolve due to this mutation. So in this case, researchers need to stop this interaction between protein and protein by using small molecules, such as the chemicals we just showing here. This interaction between this ligand or chemical and the protein, or one of those proteins, can change the conformation of the protein, which leads to prevention of combining between those two proteins and stop the process of cancer or whatever the disease we are addressing in this case. Here in this study, for example, this study was involved in preventing the interaction between BCL2 and BCLXL proteins in order to prevent cancer. In this study, they used 50,000 compounds that led to identification of potential drug candidates. Here, as you can see down, each one of those compounds, like the IC50 in 10 micromolar, 2 micromolar, 4, and 2.8. As you know, the lower the value, the better for the medication, means it's more efficient and strong than other medication. Another example here also, this identification of antiviral compound. This NITD 008 is one of the antiviral compounds that was found by the high throughput screening, and was found to be very effective against dengue virus. As you can see, IC50 is very high, very like 0.31 micromolar. Usually for most potent medications, the level of activity reaches up to nanomolar, not just micro. Okay, the third example here, we have discovery of neuroprotective agents. High throughput screening was used to screen libraries of compounds for their ability to protect neurons from oxidative stress-induced cell death. So this is a study was done just recently, I think 10 years ago. 1 second. Yeah, the study was called the Versatile High Throughput Screening System for the Simultaneous Identification of Anti-Inflammatory and Neuroprotective Compounds. In this study, they constructed a new system for finding out more compounds that can be beneficial in the neurodegenerative diseases. They used a new protein called EGFP protein. This, once it loses the color, the fluorescent color, means there is an effect for that one. In this pipeline, they found too many polyphenolic compounds that downregulated the inflammatory markers, and neuroprotection, gave more neuroprotection effects to the body. Another example also here for finding anti-inflammatory agent by using a high throughput screening approach was employed to identify the compounds that could inhibit the production of inflammatory cytokines. As you can see here in this slide, we have too many compounds that such as oronofin, pentamidine, rolipram. Those medications are already known as anti-inflammatory. Others such as azithromycin was found to have some good anti-inflammatory activity. Okay, there's another example that was employing high throughput screening for finding new anti-diabetic agents used to identify compounds that enhance the insulin secretion in the pancreatic beta cells. We have too many compounds, as you can see here. Guanine, this is natural products. Others such as hyoscyamine, this is medicine. Gamma aminobutyric acid, chemical compounds. Others like those was found to have very low KD value. This KD, the lower the better, means it needs few, like small amount of energy in order to combine with the protein. Also those other compounds for the same study. Another example here also, finding or discovering a new anti-tumor agents in a study that involved high throughput screening in order to identify compounds that inhibit tumor cell proliferation. This study found that benzethonium chloride, which is originally an antimicrobial agent, was found to have very high activity against too many cell lines, such as the hypopharyngeal squamous cancer cells, also untransformed mouse embryonic fibroblast, and nasopharyngeal cancer cells. So this is what they call it, the repurposing, that we know this medicine is antimicrobial, but by another experiments we found that it has anti-cancer activities as well. The fourth workflow for this pipeline is the rational drug design. Usually rational drug design is known as structure-based drug design, is a method used in the pharmaceutical industry to design new medicine. This method usually considers the approach for the next automated era of drug discovery. So instead of relying on trial and error, this approach usually based on the understanding of molecular structure and function of the biological targets with which the drug is intended to interact. The main idea of designing drugs here will fit perfectly on specific proteins. That means it will increase the efficacy and reduce the side effects. Examples for this pipeline for rational drug design is, for example, zidovudine. Zidovudine, as you can see here, viral anti-HIV. It was first drug approved for treatment of HIV in 1960s. While the other example here, the imatinib, it's anti-cancer, marketed as Gleevec. The trade name is Gleevec. Primarily used for chronic myeloid leukemia and gastrointestinal stromal tumors. Those medications have known for their mechanism of action. That's why they can reduce the drug resistance, for example, the side effects compared to older medications. Just to summarize about the cost and time restrictions in traditional drug discovery campaigns, as classified before, as you can see from this slide, we have like two stages of finding or discovering medication. The first one is the drug design and development, and the other one is the clinical phases. The first one is involving target identification and validation. We have hit identification, hit to lead, and lead optimization. Usually this stage takes around 6 to 7 years in order to be accomplished, while the next one, the clinical phase, takes 4 to 8 years. The total time required in order to develop just one medication, usually between 12 to 15 years, and the cost will be around 1.7 billion. This is like a huge amount of resources and time. That's why it comes to the first stage here, the blue squares here, in order to reduce the time required for this stage and go directly to the yellow stage, the clinical phases. Also, like small comparison between and for the cost and the implications for high throughput virtual screening and computer-aided drug discovery. The infrastructure usually used for high throughput screening requires significant investment in specialized equipment and robotics and automation system. The assay development usually takes a lot of time in order to be developed for the high throughput screening, while in drug-aided drug discovery, usually it takes less time and less equipment. However, it takes more like modified data sets and computer size. This is the second or the new era for drug discovery. It's like computer-aided drug design. And the first one, as we mentioned before, it's in silico screening. This contains too many like general campaigns for finding more about medications. This represents a revolutionary advancement in the field of drug discovery, such as molecular docking. There is something called pharmacophore modeling and shape similarity. Instead of going directly to laborious testing of thousands or millions of compounds in the laboratory, usually researchers employ computer simulation in order to predict how different molecules interact with biological targets. This approach not only expedites the initial screening process, but also converts for the resources. Yeah, there are some examples here mentioned about the virtual screening for finding antiviral compounds. Here in the era of COVID-19, this in silico screening was used like heavily in order to find or repurpose medications that are already available in order to find the antiviral medication for COVID-19. Also for enzyme targets such as the kinases that usually involved in cancer diseases, in silico screening was used also to find too many of those medications. Neurological drug discovery also benefited from in silico screening, such as finding medication against Alzheimer's disease in order to stop the effect of the beta amyloid protein from combining on the neurons. Antibiotics also, it has very big role, the in silico, in order to find medications that are effective against resistant bacteria. This is the second one, or the second pipeline for molecular dynamic simulation that is part of in silico screening. Usually this, as we mentioned before, it finds more about the mechanism of action, the interaction between the medicine and the protein. If the interaction sometimes doesn't last for enough long time, then we can discover that this ligand is not enough exactly to bind within those residues within the protein. That's why we have to add certain functional group in that ligand to enhance the efficacy of that medication or reduce side effects. As you can see here in this example here, this is the closed status for like a channel called ion channel TRPV1. This is the name for that one is the transient receptor potential vanilloid 1. This is ion channel, usually enhances the influx of calcium for the expression of pain. If there is a pain, this channel will be involved in the process. That's why if this ion channel is blocked, usually the gate 1 and gate 2 usually blocked, so it will not influx calcium inside the body. While if it's open, it will influx calcium and increase the sensation of pain. So studying molecular dynamic simulations for this gate especially will reveal a lot about how to use those ion channels in order to stop pain without adding side effects. Capsaicin is like medication known forever, like long time ago. It was used for this purpose. However, because of its side effects, now it's used less than before. And other site on this channel usually has been discovered due to this molecular dynamic simulations that reduces the pain more efficiently and with less side effects. Deep learning in drug discovery, usually this deep learning is the most significant contribution to drug discovery by leveraging its ability to extract patterns and make predictions from large and complex data sets. So that's why in deep learning we need data-driven insights. We have to have like big libraries of data. In addition to that, this deep learning usually find more about the property, find more about the therapeutic effects, the side effects, and predict about efficiency of the medicine and how to repurpose drugs compared to other pipelines. The last one is the generative models. Those, as we mentioned before, those are like used in drug discovery, especially to generate new molecules that is more specific for certain compounds and certain binding sites. That's why we have it's creative in drug design for new medications, like they call it de novo designing for medication. De novo from zero means we don't have any information about this target or this compound, but we started from the beginning until we reach the most effective medicine. Also, it expands the search for space, what we have of chemicals around the world. It could be by trillions or billions or whatever, but by using this generative models, it can be expanded more in order to find more suitable compounds from different classes of chemical compounds. Target property optimization. Usually this optimizes the targets we are targeting usually by using generative models, and also virtual screening can be used within this scope of generative models in order to find better results compared to other models. Here I just want to show some results for the work we done before. This is part of my work for the last 2 years, and then in this work we come up with a consensus holistic virtual screening to discover new medicines. We involved novel machine learning model approach in order to find more productive and less expensive process for drug discovery. Just simply, we collected data from many free, open free resources. We don't have to buy anything for this pipeline. For example, we have the PubChem and DADI. Those we resourced the medications or the compounds from there. We also found their effective or like activities by IC50 from those websites, and we converted them using certain equation. And we use the Autodoc tools in order to prepare the proteins and ligands. I will not go too much about the details, just to mention that those compounds are not understood for the computers. That's why we have to convert those compounds or proteins into numbers for the computer. That's what we call it here, the fingerprint and descriptor creation. Also, we choose 8 protein targets in order to find, like, to validate this method for diverse kinds of protein targets. We've scored those compounds into 4 steps: pharmacophore scoring, also docking scoring, and shape similarity scoring, in addition to the QSAR activity scoring. So at the end, we found 12 machine learning models, which were adaptable parameter tuning. And we involved too many models, such as the decision tree, KNN, AdaBoost, and random forest. We added a new formula, for this pipeline in order to find which model would be better for us. Then we scored each compound by combining its 4 components of scores. The importance for this formula, I will go directly to the formula here. See, this is the new formula we found it, and this can combine 4 metrics usually used for machine learning: the R-square, R-validation, and the error values such as the MSE, RMSE, and MAE. I know those terms are very complex. Not everybody knows, except for the people who are working in the computer science. But just to show the part of the work. We found here, just finally to show them results. As you can see here, by the pipeline we created here, we found very good results compared to the results we found it for separate screening methods. Like here, we can find metrics that are very important. They call it the area under the curve, the bedrock, enrichment factor, and those were much better than other kind of scoring. To this end, I would like to thank you everybody for listening to this lecture, and I hope you just take like and just a look about the process of drug discovery, about the history for that process, and what are the new advancements that happened or happening now. Thank you so much, everybody.